Well, Fabrizio, we're going to talk today about I'm Blimp Chop Saki.
Yeah.
I'm Blimp Chop Saki. Now, is the proper title I'm Blimp Chop Saki or who is Blimp Chop Saki?
Who is Blimp Chop Socky?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. So tell me, who is Blimp Chop Saki?
Well, he's a bit like my tribute to David Bowie. So he invented Ziggy Stardust, and I figured, why should rock stars have all the fun, you know? So I figured film directors should, create alter egos as well. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do the same thing. I'll create an alter ego. He'll make 2 films, and then after that, he'll, commit, instead of rock and roll suicide, he'll commit cinema suicide. So after 2 films, I did. Do you know what a Reggie Perrin is?
No, what's that?
So that's when you pretend that you're dead. So what I did is I wrote a fake suicide note and I just put that online, and then I just let everybody wonder whatever happened to him. The guy from the Manic Street Preachers did that as well. Nobody knows if he's dead or alive, but he left a suicide note. He disappeared, and nobody's heard from him since. Same with that Lord Lucan. He was that royal, and I think he killed his babysitter, and then he just disappeared. Nobody knows if he killed himself or he's living in India with a big beard. Like just completely camouflaged his appearance. So yeah, I did the same thing, except for this guy. He's got a big, massive camcorder on his head,
Got
walking
it.
around like
You did that to Blimp Chop Saki.
Yeah, that's right.
As Fabrizio. All right, so Fabrizio, getting into the interview questions of Play It Forward. I mean, the first question is, what was the internal inspiration for this concept, this idea, this execution? What was that spark inside of you?
I don't know. I just wanted to play around with personalities, identity, that type of thing. England's got a lot of eccentrics, actually. So there's this guy called Frank Sidebottom. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was big in the 80s, and he had a paper mache head, a fake paper mache hat. And they actually made a movie about him called Frank a few years back. And I just kind of got the inspiration for him. So it got to the point where with Frank Sidebottom, the personality started to take over the real him. And he started to get angry about the fact that he wasn't successful without the paper mache hat. I just found that inspiring and just unique. That when he didn't have the paper mache hat on, he was completely different. He was a quiet guy. You wouldn't even think he was a star or anything like that. But when he put the Frank Sidebottom hat on, he's a different person. Talking like 100 miles an hour, just a big personality. So I decided to do the same thing with my own character. And with the Straight Jacket Film Festival, which isn't no more, like COVID kind of killed that off a little bit, but he was kind of like the mascot of the film festival, if you want to call him that. But he makes short films and he travels around, and whenever people see him, they smile. You don't see people walking around with big cardboard cutouts on their heads, so I just find it unique.
Well, it's interesting. I think there's definitely more there that can be mined in terms of like the richness of what it is you're trying to get after. And let's see if we can, do that with this next question is, I know you tend to be an experimental filmmaker, so I know you may shy away a little bit from this question. But let's make it a little easier for both of us. And what I mean to say is, now, what is the meaning that you were trying to express? So, and here's how we can make that easier. So the meaning as in, you can think of it as a meaning, and I understand, you may shy away from, well, I didn't necessarily have a message, but maybe that's not the case. But if you can articulate, or if you can connect with what was the meaning, or to make it a little easier, in retrospect, as you look at the film now, what is the meaning and message of the movie? And can you compare those two?
Oh yeah, easily. It's more like, if you put a suit on, you behave a certain way. If you dress like a punk rocker, your attitude changes a bit. So I just kind of wanted to pursue how clothes or hats or whatever you want to call it, even masks, You know, like during the whole COVID thing, you know, a lot of people say now, you know, a lot of people that aren't as outgoing, when they wear the mask, you know, they felt that they could go out more. They just felt, I don't know, they just felt more comfortable. You know, I know a lot of people even to this day are still wearing the mask because they feel a bit more comfortable. You know, so I wanted to kind of pursue that with identities, how, you know, how interchangeable they are in a way. And, you know, clothes really do make the man or woman. I think that was my main message, to tell you the truth. And even, I don't know, I like the whole aspect of being a freak, you know, like P.T. Barnum, you know, in his Circus of Freak shows, you know, people gravitate to freaks, which I find strange in a way, because if you put them on stage, they gravitate to them. But if someone with like a woman with a beard came up to you, you'd be a bit standoffish, wouldn't you? You'd be freaked out a bit. So it's a fine line, don't you think, between, you know, being a freak where you can approach and someone who you kind of shy away from?
Well, it's really cool, you know, conceptually, the ideas that you're playing with. And I think my kind of tendency as a human being, a person, artist, is to really say, okay, well, those are great starters, those are great talking points, those are great, like, there is this thing about identity, there is this thing about the other, there is this thing that you've done with masking the character's head. And what is the, you know, the actual film is the character. It's kind of like a brief introduction of the character. He's wearing a tie. He almost looks like a politician. He has, like, you know, that was kind of what was the association in my mind. There's the blue tie, the red stripes, there's the buttons, there's sort of the, you know, kind of political gestures. And then he's showing himself playing basketball in this imaginary kind of life, and you know, sitting at the park. And then you know, the background music is very childlike, kind of lighthearted, and then it kind of takes a turn, like more at the you know, where the climax would be a little bit. So the representation, the visible representation, if we, you know, understand it or try to understand it, the meaning, you know, beyond the play of what does it mean, but actually say, well, what is this? What is this in these topics that you're talking about? You know, it's as if this character has had sort of like a freedom because he is hidden within a camera.
Yeah.
And I wonder how representative that is of your own life, you know, quite honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you asked that, actually. When you're making a film, you don't feel like you're there, especially the way I make films, because it's almost like cinema verite mixed with fiction. And you know, you see all the actors having fun and whatnot, but you're there filming it, so you feel like you're left out of it to a certain degree. I saw a documentary about this cult in California, and this woman filmed the cult for 20 years. And when the guy finally died, I think it was the Source family, when the guy finally died, she felt really sad about it, because it's like she wasn't really there. She didn't really experience it because she was behind the bloody camera the whole time. But if it wasn't for her, the cult wouldn't exist, the movie wouldn't exist. But at the same time, she kind of missed out on actually being involved in the experience, if you see what I mean. So that's a bit what it's like being a filmmaker. You know, it's like you're in a different reality. It's like you're living in a 3D dimension where you're not there, you're witnessing it, you're documenting it, but you're not actually living in it. I don't know, maybe we're all a bit voyeuristic these days in the 21st century. We're not on a hill dancing, like Ingmar Bergman said, you know, with the eyes in the dark watching. So, yeah, I guess there's a bit of that message as well, that we're all voyeurs. And even if you don't think you are one. You know, if you spend more than, I don't know, 50 hours a week on YouTube or whatever. I mean, especially with the COVID thing, I think we're even more insulated now than ever, you know. Not many people are.
That's really interesting, because now the blimp Saki, the character, was that you, or is that an actor?
No, that was me.
It was
That
you.
was
I
actually,
figured.
yeah, that was
Right.
actually me. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
actually me.
to, listening to you speak, it's as if you are, merging those two worlds. You are both the guy on the
Mm.
hill dancing and the voyeur and trying to reconcile those two.
Yeah, yeah. Because I've acted before. I acted in my first two films, Black Biscuit and Pregnant. But since then, I made two others, and I was just behind the camera the whole time. And a part of me wanted to be acting in it as well, but I wanted to, you know, concentrate more on directing. But a part of me missed being in front of the camera, So I decided to just have a bit of fun with it, basically, and just create this like rock star film director, type of thing. I might make some more. I might not. I mean, I've submitted it to the Experimental Film Festival in America, so that's going to be showing in September, I think. And I'm one of the juries on it as well. So I'm a bit biased, but I don't know. I think it might do pretty well.
Fabrizio, last question. Since making the film and reflecting on the conversation within the dynamics of what we're talking about, these interpersonal,
Mm.
intrapersonal, um, world landscape that we all are living through and reconciling in our own, unique situations. What have you learned since making the film? How have you
Oh
changed?
God, just to get out there and live as much as possible. Life's short, especially with COVID-19, and not being able to go out and make films with film actors and the public anymore. So you kind of want to like get out there and do as much as possible. So I've been doing everything really. I'm concentrating so much on making films and music, soundtracks. Because my band Paranoid Alice, they do soundtrack music as well. So they did the music for Blimp Chop Socky as well, and we've got a concert tomorrow, and we might sacrifice a guitar for that. So
Sounds
because
cool.
I've smashed up, I went through a phase of smashing camcorders, kind of like Pete Townsend used to with the guitar. So I've run out of camcorders. I don't have a camcorder anymore, so I'm gonna have to reduce myself to smashing guitars on stage. Otherwise, I'd smash the camcorder on as well. A bit of an auto-destructive art for you right there. I love stuff like that.
And
Yeah. So yeah, I'm guessing it's you as well. This whole COVID thing. How do you feel since then?
well, I hate to, um, I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but I've loved COVID.
Mm.
Short of people dying, of course, I would never want anybody to suffer more than they're already doing. No more suffering in the world. But man, I just, it was great for me. I don't mind masks. I don't mind isolation. I don't mind any of that. I was very lucky. As you may remember, I live in New York City. So as soon as it hit, especially my daughter was, I don't know, like 6 months or 7 months. And I was like, all right, we got to get out of here. And we
Yeah.
left. And we left to 2-3 hours upstate, Rhode Island. We stayed at a family's house there, and it was beautiful. It was bucolic. There were trees. We could take walks. It was much easier than living in an apartment with a crying baby. So for me, it
Yeah.
was just a great time to
Well,
leave. And it was very difficult because it was just me and Lisa with the baby, and we had no grandmas, no nannies, nothing. That was really challenging.
mm.
But aside from that, I've already tuned out social media, as crazy it is that we're building a social media platform.
Yeah.
All the news I need comes through people that tell me what's going on.
Mm.
And, me and Lisa actually, well, Lisa and Naomi had COVID, and it was probably this most recent strain, the micro or whatever it was, and
Yeah.
it was very, mild. Like, thank God it was fine. I didn't get it. I couldn't believe it,
Mm.
and so, for me, the whole mask thing was kind of cool because it forced people to look each other in the eye more, in the
Yeah.
eyes,
Right. Mm.
and there was some of that, like, that was really interesting, to me, and how different people look when you can see the whole face versus just,
Yeah.
that portion of it. Um, so yeah, it was just a great time to kind of be insular and, develop your own kind of psycho spiritual strength for me.
Oh yeah,
You know?
I did a lot of reading. That was one good thing about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
read The Exorcist. I read a bio on Joseph Mengele. Yeah, I just kept busy as much as I can. I did get that first batch of COVID, and it was horrible.
Oh, you did get it.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it was ruthless. I
Wow.
felt like my lungs were collapsing.
Oh,
My
wow.
taste and I couldn't
Wow.
smell anything or taste anything for like 2 months.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. So luckily, this new strain
Right.
is so, you know,
Yeah.
mild compared to that first batch.
Yeah.
And nobody knew. I actually caught it before or everybody got locked down.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I didn't know what the hell it was. I even went to the doctor. He was saying, "Oh, just take some paracetamol." You know, he didn't know what the hell it was either. So yeah, it wiped you out. But I don't know, back to normal, right?
I'm glad you're okay. Yeah, back to normal, man.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
it's great to see you. You know, keep me posted definitely of your work. We'll post
Yeah.
this. And I'm glad you're you're fighting the good fight. You know,
Oh yeah, mate.
you're out there.
Oh yeah, always, comrade.
Awesome. Always, brother.
Mm.
All right,
Yeah.
man. Well, thank you again. Thanks for being on the show, man. And I look forward to staying in touch, man. All blessings. All the best to you.
Yeah, look after yourself. Hi, America.
Hi, London. Talk to you later, brother.
See ya.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, take it easy. Bye.